Okay, welcome to the session, and yeah, we have not many people, but it's good enough. We begin with meditation together, and then it will be a session. There will be many things that you have to catch up today, because I have started for this the third week, and the people who joined us last 2 weeks, they couldn't come today, but we also do it online, which they can follow us together. Okay, so let's start meditation together.
Let's meditate together. Sit with your back straight, your feet flat on the floor, and your hands together on your lap. Imagine that in front of you is a vast empty space where there is nothing and no one around you. Look straight, as if you look into the horizon, very far, far away, and rest your eyesight over there. Start blinking your eyelids and close them very softly and gently. Close your eyes very softly and gently. Slide down your eyelids in a very soft and gentle way. Do not force them to close. Just close them very softly and gently. And relax every part of the body. Release and let go of everything from the mind. Whatever you have in the mind, whether it's work, family, or responsibility, leave it behind for a while. And relax every muscles in your body, from the tip of your head down to your toes. Relax the muscles of your forehead down to your cheek and your chin. feel relaxed down to your neck, your shoulders, your arms, your hands, down to your fingertips. Relax the muscles on your chest, down to your stomach, your hips, your thighs, your knees. Feel relaxed all the way down to your feet, to the tips of your toes. Until you feel completely relaxed in every part of your body. When the body feels more relaxed, we are not going to worry about the body anymore. I would like you to pay attention on the awareness of your breath. Breathe in deeply, softly, and slowly. Feel the soft and gentle awareness of your breath going in and out of your body. Adjust your breathing so that your breath becomes softer and more refined. Breathe in and out. Slowly, softly, and deeply. Few more times. And feel the soft and gentle awareness of your breath going all the way to the middle of your stomach. Observe the feeling when the air softly arriving and touching an empty space in the middle of your stomach. If you breathe softly and gently. The feeling in the middle of your stomach will become softer and more refined. This feeling can be similar to a bird feather floating down from the sky and touching softly and slowly a calm surface of water. So soft and gentle. The feather does not disturb the calmness of the water surface. Let's repeat the breathing a few more times. And feel as if there is something soft and gentle in the middle of our stomach. This awareness is called the center of the body. When this awareness becomes clearer, we do not have to care about the breathing anymore. But let's continue maintaining on the awareness of the center of the body as long as you can, as soft, as gentle as you can. If your mind got distracted by external environment or by your own thoughts, do not worry, as it happens to everyone. Do not feel frustrated or annoyed. Softly and gently bring your attention back to the center of the body again and again. You may follow the awareness of your breath to the center of your body one more time. to confirm the awareness of the center. And stay with the feeling as long as you can. But if your mind got distracted, I would like you to repeat a mantra in your mind few times. Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang. Samma means the right way, and Arahang means the purest state of the mind. Feel vibration of the voice radiating from the center of your body. Samma Arahang, 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 Samma Arahang. Do not just listen to my voice. The mantra will be more effective if you repeat on your own in your mind. Continue repeating the mantra for a while. Until the end of the meditation, or until you feel that the voice of the mantra disappears. And you have a feeling that you don't want to repeat the mantra anymore. When that feeling comes, just stay still. There is no need to repeat the mantra anymore. Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang.
สัพเพพุทธาภลคตาปัจเจกานันจยังพลังอาลาหังตานันจเตเชนะขังพันธามิสัพพโสสัพพพุทธานุภาเวนะสัพพธัมมานุภาเวนะสัพพสังฆานุภาเวนะสัทธาโสธีพระวันตุเตสันตุ It's time to open your eyes. First, let me introduce myself for new people, and also for people who watch us online. You may call me Mangkom, or if you prefer to call me in a traditional way, you may call me Long Pi Kom. Long Pi means brother in Thai language, brother Kom. And today I have quite a big topic to share with you. It may be simple for some people, and to allow some time for the screen to show up. Yes, it's about the nature of life. Last week, I talked about one thing that is important that affect our life. In this session, if you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask. Yes, or if you would like to know anything more, you can tell me. About the law of nature. Last week, I told everyone that in Buddhist idea, all living beings we live under two laws. There are two laws that affect everything, all life. Yes. The first one is the law of nature, which affect everything we can see, all not just life, all materials, all substances. The first one is the law of nature. The second one is the law of karma, that actually is affect living beings, only living beings. Let me review what I talked last week briefly, which is quite important. Last week I talked about the first law, that there are three in Buddhist idea. There are three characteristics for the first law. There are three marks, sometimes we call three marks of existence, yes, which including impermanence, suffering, and non-self. Impermanence refers to the condition that nothing lasts forever. That we all know nothing lasts forever, and I also mentioned that even gold or diamond also cannot last forever. And there will be a time that it can change under lots of pressure or heat. So even very sturdy substance, it can still not last forever. So this is the law of the first law of impermanence, the first thing, the first condition, which because of the first one, impermanence, it brings to the second thing, suffering. It leads to the second one. Suffering is referred to unsatisfaction, when we feel sad, when we don't want, we are not happy. We are not happy, we feel sad because of impermanence, because things change, and we cannot expect. Unexpected always come to our life, which make us suffer from it. And in Buddhist idea, we use the word dukkha to mention the word suffering. Actually, the word dukkha is not, it doesn't mean only suffering. in my understanding, I think it is suit the word uncertification more. Yes, uncertification is things like that. And there are two kinds of suffering. The first one is inevitable birth, age, dying, and the second one is more kind of mental suffering from sorrow, disappointment, unease, frustration, face what did please, separate from what please one, not getting what one wants. These come from, most of them come from the first one that I mentioned, impermanence, because things change. What we love cannot stay with us forever. Our comfort zone cannot stay with us forever. Sometimes there will be difficult things that come to our life. This also relate to impermanence. And I also talk about the last characteristic, the last mark, the third mark, non-self. Non-self is a bit more difficult to understand, but it also very important in Buddhist concept, which this word, I never seen this word from any other belief. So it's kind of one important concept to understand if you're interested in Buddhism. Non-self refers to the meaning that there is no phenomenon that has self or essence in it, no actual self in it. For example, when the sense of self is the sense of me or my, this is my thing, this is my clothes, this is my emotion, this is what I have. For example, when we grow up, we may believe that I work so hard to buy this thing, to have this thing, and when we have more, and when something happened to make us lose it, or when it's broken, we may feel sad about it. When someone take it from us, we may consider that, we may think that why they do that to what is mine. But when we look back, when we were born with nothing. We have nothing with us since we were born. So when we grow up, we just claim things around us that this is my body, which actually we don't know that it may be just a vehicle that we come to use it for a period of time. And when the times come, we leave this vehicle and we may move to another vehicle. So there is the sense of non-self. Another meaning is also refer to all emotion. That sometimes when we feel something like we feel angry, we make that emotion become solid. We feel I'm anger. Not just angry, I'm the anger. There is me now at the moment, and we let those emotions to overwhelm, to control us, which leads to many negative things. But if some kind of negative emotion arises, and we just watch it, step back a bit, we can go back to the first mark that I mentioned, impermanence. Finally, those kind of negative emotions will fade away, and if we if we can be patient and let it fade away, those negative emotion cannot control us, and it will not make us regret about what we are doing later. These are three marks of existence. And from these three marks of existence, we cannot do anything about impermanence. And for the concept of non-self is sometimes difficult to handle. So the Buddha, he mentioned a lot. His teaching his teaching, the center of his teaching is around the word suffering. There are, like I told you, there are two kinds of suffering. Kind of physical suffering, we cannot do anything about it as well, but we can deal with the mental suffering. So last week I also talked about the Four Noble Truths, which is about suffering. Is what is suffering, what is the cause, how there is a way to a cessation of suffering, a way to free from it. I have already talked about this one. The Buddha, every time when he teach about suffering, he start from explaining about suffering first. What are suffering? And then he also mentioned the cause of suffering, that because of our desire for sensual pleasure, desire to have or not to have something. Some people, animals, experiences desire to be or not to be something. Because of those desire, it causes us to have kind of mental suffering. If we desire for nothing, we can accept. For people who can accept everything, it will be so difficult for them to suffer. And the root, I also mentioned that the root of suffering is ignorance. Because sometimes we don't know that. For example, sometimes we desire for sensual pleasure, but we don't know that actually to receive those kinds of sensual pleasure, it doesn't bring us happiness like forever. It could bring another kind of suffering to us. Like, if we never eat anything delicious before, but we may not want it. But the first time when we know about it, or when we have an opportunity to try it, and we cannot have it again, we may suffer from it. So actually, it's not about ignorance directly. It's not a good example, but because we are not aware of our thoughts, our emotion all the time, and sometimes it comes and it drives to control us unconsciously, unconsciously control us. Like we see something and we want it, but we are not aware of. Actually, it relates to another law, the law of karma. We are not aware of the effect that might come after what we think or what we do or with what we speak. We are not aware of it, which make us do something that we may regret it later. Yes, this is about the second one, samudaya, or the cause of suffering. And the Buddha also mentioned that there is a state that we are free from those suffering. There is a state. He didn't mention how to free from suffering first. It's a way of scientists, a way of science. When scientists they assume something, they make an assumption first. They may know the phenomena first. Then they can see the lightning, they can see fire before they try to make it. So it's like the Buddha assumed that there should be a way to be free from suffering, and he tried until he can achieve it, which is the last one that I'm going to talk later. There is a cessation of suffering. It's like when we can let go of all desire. When suffering ceases, happiness is in place. And when one renounces or unwise wanting, craving, suffering ceases. This is a brief explanation. And finally, he mentioned a path. There is a way that leads us to be free from the suffering. And the path that you may ever heard about, the Noble Eightfold Path, is light view or light understanding. When we understand something in the light way, it will affect our thoughts, speech, and action. Yes. And when we keep thinking, speaking, and act the same way again and again, it will form up to become kind of our livelihood, which we need to make an effort to continue to do it. And we need to be aware of what our livelihood, our action, to continue to do it. If something try to break our habit, we are aware of it. So we are kind of a bit mindful about it. And when we are mindful, it also leads to another quality, is mean concentration. So it's like it's go together from light view to light concentration. But in the Noble Eightfold Path, the Buddha, he didn't mean that when we want to practice this path. I explained about it briefly. You can start from any point. For example, some people may start from meditation, and because of meditation or practicing mindfulness or concentration, yes, meditation is the practice of mindfulness and concentration. When they practice meditation, it may bring some clarity to their mind, and they start to see something more clearly, and it leads them to more light understanding about their life. So we can start from any point. Or some people, they listen to something, or they have some kind of experience which change their understanding about life, which make them live in the light way and be more mindful about their life. This is an example. And when we keep living our life in this path, we will get closer to the word Nirodha, the state of freedom of suffering on our own. We don't need to do anything more. We just keep living in this path. Nirodha is the state that brings our mind to what we call nirvana, which I will explain about it more later. And for today, what I would like to talk today, continue from last week, is the second law. It's the law of karma. The law of karma we can consider it as the law of attraction. Similar kind of thing will attract to each other. Similar kind of people, like in a school. And at first, all students may look a bit different. They may not know each other yet. And when they start to form a group, students in one group start to look more familiar, more similar. They have similar kind of habit, similar kind of leisure activities, which make they make them more look alike. The law of causes and effects. Law of cause and effect is mean the effect from what we are doing. So basically, it refers to you are what you eat, or you live what you sow. We will be what we are doing at that moment, and what we are doing now, it will grow into something more in the future. But to understand about karma more, I would like to explain another concept, which is a bigger concept. It's over this law. the concept of the round of rebirth is quite a very big concept in Eastern religion. Many, not only Buddhism, also Hinduism or some other religion, they also believe in this kind of concept. The concept of the round of rebirth, we use this word, the samsara. Samsara refer to the law of rebirth. About this concept, I would like to talk about, explain what is the law of rebirth, the evidence of the law of rebirth that someone already found it, and explain it in scientific way. The cause of rebirth, existence of different realms, proof on the reality of different realms, and ultimate refuge. In Pali language, we use the word samsara. Samsara means the law of rebirth. It means all human living beings, are also not just human, all living beings. We don't live just once, and death is not our final end. There is just one step of living beings, that when we come to this step, we move to another step again, like the picture. It's like a loop that keep happening, like a circle, endless cycle that keep happening again and again. The Buddha says that the beginning and the end of round of rebirth cannot be determined. It means no one can tell when the living beings start to undergo the round of rebirth and when it will end. On one occasion, while the Lord Buddha was staying at a vulture peak of one city, he said to other monks that the beginning and the end of round of rebirth cannot be determined when a person has undergone the round of rebirth for an entire kalpa. Kalpa is from Pali language, it's a spoken language from the Buddha time. The word kalpa refers to the period that the earth is alive and gone until it's gone, it's decayed and gone. There is one kalpa, because it means that our planet is also under the same condition, impermanence. May alive until the point of time and it will be gone. So for when a person has undergone the round of rebirth for an entire kalpa, for this period, he will have accumulated a pile of bones as big as this mountain. The Buddha, he stay close to the mountain, as big as this big mountain. So he said that the pile of bones, the bones of one people could be like this big. It means we have died many lifetimes. Another way that he explained it. Another time he said, the beginning and the end of round of rebirth cannot be determined again. The amount of tears you have shed in all your rebirths is greater than the water in the 4 oceans. The Buddha used the word 4 oceans. I believe that time there are 4 big oceans that people could find at that time. And you have experienced the death of your mother, your father, brothers, sisters, sons and daughters. You have shed tears for having been part of from your loved ones in an amount that is no less than all the water in the 4 oceans. In addition, the Lord Buddha says that it is very difficult to find anyone that has never been at one time or another. It's like we are all ever been parents, relatives, sibling, child before. This is how Buddha said, we are all connected. Also, what I said also refer to is mean that the Buddha, he has undergone this kind of rebirth before, countless times, and separate his loved one many lifetimes. On another occasion, the Lord Buddha went on his arm rounds. Arm round is this kind of action when the monk hold like something like a bow. It's a way that ascetics from different kind of religions at that time they don't work for food, but they just do their kind of spiritual practice, and they have some kind of bowl, and people will support them by giving food. And when the Buddha, when he did the arm rounds, it means carrying the arm bowls and walking around a town. When he did the arm round in a town, in one town, at that town there was a Brahmin. Brahmin is a person a religious person. A Brahmin saw the Buddha and came immediately to show respect to the Buddha at his feet. They bow to the feet of the Buddha. He held on tight to the Lord Buddha ankles and said, "Dear one, isn't it the practice that a son should take care of his parents in their old age?" He talked to the Buddha. Isn't it practice that a son should take care of his parents? He then led the Buddha to his home. As the Lord Buddha and the accompanying monks were sitting on the appointed seats, the Brahmini, the wife of the Brahmin, had heard that their son had returned home. So the Brahmin claimed that his son had returned home. And she went to show respect to the Lord Buddha at his feet again and started crying and said, "Dear one, where have you been all this time? Isn't it the practice that a son should take care of his parents in their old age?" So this wife also claimed that said the word son to the Buddha again. She then told her other sons and daughters to pay respect to their older brother. Then both of them were so happy that they made a very generous offering food to the Buddha and other monks. After the meal, the Buddha gave the old couple teaching, and at the end of the teaching, the couple attended high state of meditation that's close to the word enlightenment. Actually, it's attainment of enlightenment, but there are different states of attainment of enlightenment. And after the Lord Buddha and other monks returned to the temple, the monks were they were conversing among themselves. They were wondering why those couples, they must know that the Lord Buddha, before he became the Buddha, he was a son of a king before. Why they always said to the Buddha, why they always call the Buddha their son again and again. The monks couldn't help but wonder why that was. Then the Lord Buddha explained the situation to them. The Buddha said that the Brahmin and Brahmini call me their son because they have been my parents for a total of about 500 consecutive lifetimes. They had been my uncle and aunt for about 500 lifetimes, and also have been my grandparents for about 500 lifetimes. This is a story, yes, that he would like to show that he also undergone many countless lifetimes before he became the Lord Buddha. And now is what I told you is seem like just one belief that is difficult to prove. If we go back to the first session, I'm not sure last week or the first session, I told all of you that the teaching of the Buddha, when someone want to learn something about the Buddha he ever told to people that you shouldn't just believe in any kind of teaching. He also might mean that his teaching as well. You shouldn't believe for anything that you feel is logical or reasonable. You shouldn't believe in anything from people you trust, but you should believe in something that you can prove that it is beneficial to your life. It is the truth that you already proved it. And what I said is something too difficult to prove in our life. But there are some people who already done it. This man named Ian Stevenson, he already passed. He identified over 2,000 cases of people who remember their past life. This is just only him, and he authored more than 300 publications, including 14 books. And from his time, there are also many people until this day that they're still looking for more people who can remember their past life. And actually, there are many interesting stories about it. If you want to find more, there are like more than, if you look it on internet or YouTube, you can find more than 100 stories. But it's difficult to believe that it's just a make-up story or it's the true story, but it is from some people who like to publish academic books. And let's watch this video. It's a bit long, about 8 minutes, I think, so you can learn about it a bit more.
Hello, I'm Robert J. Sawyer, and this is Supernatural Investigating.
This week, we investigate the concept of reincarnation. Half of the planet's population shares the same belief that some part of us survives death and that reincarnation is a real possibility. You may be surprised to learn that the most compelling support does not come from the world of religious or spiritual studies, but from the world of science. Tom Harper is one of those seeking answers, and this week, he's our supernatural investigator.
I've come to the point with regard to reincarnation that I think not only is it a worthy subject of investigation, but that the evidence strongly suggests that it may, in fact, be true. Well over 50% of the Earth's inhabitants believe in some form of reincarnation. So it's very widespread.
And for Tom Harper, the most compelling evidence comes from the work of the late Dr. Ian Stevenson and his successor, Dr. Jim Tucker.
This work began here at the University of Virginia back around 1960. Ian Stevenson was the chairman of the Department of Psychiatry. When he heard about these cases from various parts of the world of very young children who said that they remember previous lives, and he was curious enough where he decided to investigate and spent the next 40 years of his career traveling to various parts of the world. And he and his colleagues during that time, we've now collected over 2,500 cases of these young children who are making these claims. So then our task becomes trying to sort out what what is this? What is causing kids to say this? And one way to test this is to see if what the child says actually matches a particular person who lived and died in the past.
Ian Stevenson would actually go to the city, take the child with him, and in some cases the child would point to specific places, bringing up specific dates and places and names. Of course, we can't rule out coincidence. We can pretty much rule out fraud in most cases because Dr. Stevenson was a very careful investigator.
He wrote in an academic style and like a lawyer, presenting the witnesses, where the evidence came from. He had subjects take lie detector tests, sign affidavits. He was so concerned that the evidence would be accepted in the scientific community.
We use the term solved and unsolved. And solved means that a previous person has been identified whose life matches the statements that the child made. Of the 2,500, it's probably roughly 50-50 the ones that have been solved versus not solved.
Even to his dying day in 2007, he never claimed to the scientific world, I have got the ironclad proof. Remember, he had that skeptical spirit. Nevertheless, that someone as careful as he was so strongly moved towards the possibility is, to me, a fairly powerful argument.
James Leininger was a little boy in Louisiana who began saying that his plane had crashed, that he had been shot down by the Japanese. He gave some very specific details. In fact, this was when he was 2. His parents were able to ask him questions about these horrific nightmares he had about a plane crash. And he was able to say that he had been shot down by the Japanese and that his plane had flown from the Natoma, is what he named the boat that his plane had taken off of. In addition, the boy later saw a picture of Iwo Jima and said that was where he was shot down. Also, it began saying that he was the 3rd James. When his dad searched online, he eventually found that there was the USS Natoma Bay. The Natoma Bay was involved in the Iwo Jima operation. There was one pilot from the Natoma that was killed in Iwo Jima, and his name was James Houston, Jr. So James Leininger would be the 3rd James after the Jr. Another detail that James gave was that he had a friend named Jack Larson, and it turned out that there was another pilot on the Natoma named Jack Larson. The child was talking about a past life from more than 50 years before, which is unusual in our cases. So there was seemingly no way that he could have known the details that he came up with.
Goodbye, James and Houston.
His father was an evangelical Christian who was totally resistant to reincarnation. But his son gave out so much information about World War II. They said, you know, he could not have learned this watching Sesame Street.
I salute you.
I think that what reincarnates, as far as one can tell from all the literature and so on, is the essential self.
When I was about 2 years old, I told my mother that my name was not really Barbro, it was Anne.
Barbara was born in 1954 in Sweden to a Christian family, and they had no idea who Anne Frank was, because the diary of Anne Frank had not yet been translated and published in Sweden.
I know my name was Anne Frank, but they insist calling me on Barbro. And my parents insisted me to call them Mom and Pa, and I knew they were not my real parents.
Well, her parents thought this was all fantasy until something happened when she was 10 years old. By this time, the parents knew who Anne Frank, the historic figure, was. And they went on a tour of European cities, including Amsterdam, where the Anne Frank house is located.
We were at the hotel room, and my father said that let's do the Anne Frank house first. So I called for a cab. And I found myself saying to them, we don't need a cab, we're not far away. And I knew exactly where we were.
And her parents said, how could you know? You've never been here. And she said, well, I know, let me show you. And she took him by the hand and led him on a 10-minute walk through the winding streets of Amsterdam directly to the Anne Frank house.
And then when we came up towards the house, I saw that the steps outside were different, were changed. So I stopped and I said, it's strange, they have changed those steps. When I came into that house, it was the most horrifying feeling I have ever had. Because all of a sudden I was back to my dreams. I recognized everything I had seen ever since I was a little child.
And Barbara looked at a wall in a room where Anne had spent time, and she said to her mother, look, the pictures of the movie stars are still on the wall.
I saw all these pictures from newspaper magazines that was cut out, and it was from movie stars and song stars and things. And I said to my mother, look, the pictures are still there. And it was like almost coming home. And she said, what pictures? And she looked on the wall, and I looked on the wall, and there were no pictures there.
She got confused, started to cry, and the mother said, well, let's ask the tour guide. And the tour guide said, yes, indeed, the photos that Anne Frank had clipped are normally on that wall, but we took them down because people were touching them, taking them. We're going to put them under glass and then put them back. And her parents at that point realized she was not having fantasies, that she was having memories of a past lifetime. Barbara not only had the memories, she also replicated the talent of Anne Frank and was a child prodigy writer.
It was everything from poetry to little stories, thoughts about the higher power, reincarnation, where we came from, where we were going, but nothing that I had memories from being Anne Frank or anything, because I had decided not to talk about it anymore.
And Barbara had her first book published at age 12. And she had another 8 or 9 books published in her teenage years. And her first book became the best-selling prose book in Swedish history. And guess what? Barbara has the same face as Anne Frank.
There's certainly evidence from our cases that there can be these memories from past lives that are in children. Now, evidence is not the same thing as proof, but there's no question that there is empirical evidence for it.
Interesting video. Now what I show you, it just, I would say that it's just a way that people try to find a proof about it, try to learn and understand about life more. Yeah. But it's not a proof for ourselves yet. Everything is possible. It can be that our memory can transfer to a new life. They just born, something like that. When someone dies, can transfer into one life. We cannot prove it yet. But in Buddhist idea or a way that the Buddha found it, we believe that we believe in the concept that is bigger than the word reincarnation. Reincarnation refers to when at the end of one life, that life will get reborn in the same kind of life form. But the word, the round of rebirth, it doesn't mean like that. It means that we can be reborn in another kind of life form, so which I'm going to explain more, but maybe next week. For this week, let me continue it a bit more. There is also a teaching, a Buddhist teaching, that explains about the cause of rebirth. What makes us get reborn again and again? What makes us get stuck in this loop of rebirth? There are 3 words. Taiwata refers to 3 causes of round of rebirth, which there are deformance, karma, and the fruit of karma. The details of Taiwata appears in many Buddhist teaching. In one teaching, it is written that the beginning and the end of the round of rebirth cannot be determined when living beings are still brought by ignorance and process craving. They must still undergo the round of rebirth. So what I just told you is some details of deformment. As long as we still get blocked by ignorance or process craving, we will still undergo the round of rebirth. Another sutta, another teaching said, previously I was I think maybe I could skip this one. For today, I think I may talk about the first one a bit. The deformance or malfunctions. Some Buddhist school sometimes use the word deformment, some Buddhist school use the word malfunctions. It refers to things that make our mind gloomy, make our mind unclear. And once the Lord Buddha said, behold monks, the mind was clear and bright. The mind was clear and bright. I mean, the original state of the mind is clear and bright, but it becomes gloomy as a result of deformance. And there are many words. The Buddha he didn't speak English, so he didn't use the word deformance. Sometimes he used the word upa kilesa. Upa means entering, and kilesa refer to deformance. It means the entering of deformance into the mind to make it gloomy. Sometimes he used the word asava, it means to flow, refer to all living beings that still possess deformance must continue to undergo suffering in the round of rebirth. And there are three big families, three large families that in the deformance. Actually, deformance is like germs that as long as we still have it, we may get sick someday. But deformance is more about what happened to our mind. The first family, there are three families. The first family is lopa or greed. Greed refers to desire, craving, and want. This family causes our mind to be hungry, to crave other people, possessions. In spite of sometimes some people they are wealthy, they are rich enough, but because of this family of malfunction, it makes them still want things that other people have. They're still hungry for more wealth, even though they can live their life so comfortably without anything more, but because of greed or loba. Greed or loba makes them cannot be happy easily. They need to have something more and more and more, like an ocean. We cannot fill water to make the ocean full. Can be more and more. Other names of this family of deformance include, sometimes we use the word raga, it's the power of gladness. Actually, it's referred to kind of sensual pleasure, a craving for sensual desire. It means refer to sensual desire. Nanti means the power of enjoyment, because sometimes when we get bored, we just try to find something to enjoy us, to bring some enjoyment to us, to make us forget suffering in life for a moment. For example, watching TV, playing games. It doesn't make us free from suffering. It just makes us forget difficult things in life for a moment. Drinking, for example, nanti, or tanha. Tanha is referred to craving directly. The second family, dosa or anger. Dosa refer to anger, feeling offense, resentment, revenge, bursts of anger, thoughts of injuring others, thoughts of killing others, ferocity, harboring a grudge, a foul mouth, and a lack of joy. This is also under dosa. family, but the main thing is anger. It caused the mind to, this family caused the mind to heat up, to want to destroy, want to cause damage to things and other people, even though we know that we get nothing from it, from doing it. We just feel, oh, I succeeded. When this family control our mind, so it's caused the mind to boil over. And the last family, moha, refer to ignorance. It means ignorance, arise out of the power of delusion and misguidance. It means we understand something incorrectly. Moha includes ignorance of the truth of anything, the lack of penetrating power, or the lack of reflection, a low level of intelligence, the lack of knowledge, delusion, the lack of knowledge about suffering, the lack of knowledge about the cause of suffering or cessation of suffering, or the path, the noble eightfold path. These are all referred to moha family. And moha have the same meaning of avijja. Avijja is ignorance, in the sense that it is the root of all deformants. Finally, for today, once the Lord Buddha said, when a person can abandon anger and greed and can uproot craving along with avijja or ignorance, which is the root of all deformants, that person can escape from suffering. Yes, and this is the what Lord Buddha said. And why when they can free, why when one person can free themselves from anger, greed, and ignorance, why they can be free from suffering? We'll explain about it more, but not today, because now it's already 2:30. It's time to end. Do you have any question for today? It's a lot. It's a big topic. I feel a bit sorry for people who will come last 2 weeks, but they couldn't come today. I'm not sure how can they follow, catch up. But I will repeat it a bit again next time. Do you have any question? If no question, so that's fine. For people who watch us online, if you have any question, please don't mind to send to comment or send a direct message. Or if you have my contact, you can contact me directly. So that's all for today.